So then, I recently went to Thorpe Park and was able to experience their newest addition to the 2023 lineup, being Ghost Train. And this attraction really wasn't what I was expecting it to be. Now, before I get into the video, if you do not want any type of spoilers for this attraction, I recommend not watching this video until you have experienced it yourself, because as I usually do in these videos, I've really tried to not spoil the attraction in what I've said, but I do touch on broad aspects of the attraction and what happens inside the attraction. So if you do not want any spoilers, please do not watch this video. So then, first off, I'm going to talk about things about this attraction that I really liked. So then, the best way I think to look at this attraction on an outside perspective is to look at what used to be there. So obviously this show building and everything was built for Derron Brown's Ghost Train opening in 2016, which was a VR-led Ghost Train experience, which I'll be honest with you, the more I went on Derron Brown's, the less I enjoyed going on it. I think it was one of those attractions where it had so many aspects that you had to depend on it working for it to be a good ride that weren't working enough. Like headsets were just dropping like flies. I had more rides on that towards the end of its service life, I guess is the way to word it. But I had more rides on that where the headsets weren't working compared to where they were. So I'll be honest, I think Ghost Train is better than Derron Brown's was any day of the week, just because it doesn't have the VR dependency. And Derron Brown's was it wasn't very re-rideable, let's put it that way. If you were a new person going on it and hadn't been on it ever before, it would be an okay ride, and I mean an okay ride. But if you were going on it again after being on it before, you noticed how many things weren't working, and it wasn't necessarily the park's fault. I think it's just VR in theme parks. I'll be honest, I don't like VR in theme parks. I am very much on the side of the argument of you go to a theme park to be immersed in the world yourself, not to put on a headset to do it for you, which I know that there'll be a lot of people that don't agree with me on that, and I completely understand why. But especially in Derron Brown's case, I think that it made it a little bit uneventful of an attraction. So Ghost Train, in my opinion, is better than Derron Brown's was, especially in the last years of its service life. And I really think that it is a positive addition to the lineup. So what I'm about to say after this, please do not take me saying this is a bad attraction, because actually I like to look at rides of what used to be there and is the new attraction better, which this attraction definitely is. And I think that this ride really is a positive addition to the lineup. So please bear that in mind, because I'm about to go on to things I don't enjoy. But first, other things that I enjoy about this attraction, there's one more. I really like the storyline they've implemented. I think it really works. I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to ruin it, as I said, but I think the theme is something which I really liked listening to and I thought really worked, which is something which is great for an attraction, and that is the main thing for a theme park attraction. It's got to have a good storyline, otherwise you're not really going to be immersed with it or have any connection to it. So I really like the storyline and I guess the theme aspect that they've chosen to go down. Now on to things that I think they can improve on. Now, one thing which my friend pointed out the second we'd got off the attraction the first time was the amount that this attraction relies on the actors on it. Now, we were very lucky. The actors we had in our run through were giving it 100%. It was really impressive. They were going for it. I'll be honest, I wouldn't be able to put in that much effort because I'm too lazy. I would have given up after the third run through of people, but they were really giving it their all and they did portray the experience very well. But one thing which I think could be an issue is if you rely on actors that heavily and they don't give the experience that the ride intends for it to have, that's an entire group of people who haven't experienced the attraction at the same quality as the park intends. So one thing which I think I'd love to see them improve on is have more screens and videos to lead you through the attraction, because that's going to be a lot more consistent than fully relying on the actors to portray the experience. The other thing which I think could do with improvement, but at the same time I think this will come with the longer the attraction's been operating for, but that is the operations and throughputs for this attraction weren't the fastest. In fact, we were in the queue for a significant amount of time, and when we joined it, it was on like 15-minute queue. So I think that they've got a little bit of work to do there in pushing guests through as quick as they can, while also obviously operating it safely and making sure every scene is working at its best. But yeah, I do think that they need to speed up the throughputs on this attraction because it was very slow getting into the ride. Once you're in it, obviously flows quite smoothly. And I think once they learn how long the scenes are and get to know how quick they can get guests in and then how long it takes in the attraction, that will come with time. And I think after that's happened, throughputs will speed up dramatically. So then on to what I thought about this attraction. Now, I do have to say, your opinion on an attraction is something that's very personal. It's an opinion for obvious reasons. And I don't want people thinking that I'm just throwing shade at Thorpe Park for this, because I'm really not. And every time I can choose to be positive, I really like to be. But of all the attractions I've experienced this year so far, I think this one has the largest room for improvement. Now, it's better than what used to be there, without a doubt in my opinion. And it isn't a bad ride, but it also isn't an outstanding one, which sounds really critical because it's like, well, you're criticising because it's not incredible, but it's still good. How is that fair to criticise it? But when you compare it to the standard of attractions that we've had this year so far, Ghost Train wasn't up there, which I think it really could be with time. And yeah, when I got off Ghost Train, I'll be honest, my opinion wasn't negative and saying it was bad, but it was just a little bit underwhelmed. It felt like something big was about to happen, which kind of didn't. And I think the more they have time to refine this attraction, they can add more and more and more, and I think it will be incredible. But until that happens, I do have to be honest, this will be a ride which won't be on my list when I go to Thorpe Park of you must ride this every time, because it wasn't at that standard yet. But I believe it really can be, and the Thorpe Park ride team really deserves credit because they've put in the effort for this attraction, especially in the theme, and I would love to see them give it justice and refine this attraction further. So then, thank you for watching. As I said, remember my opinion's a very personal thing. I'm not throwing shade at Thorpe Park, and there's definitely going to be people who disagree with me, quite rightly so. I'd love to see your opinions on this attraction in the comments. I'd love to see it because, as I said, it's an opinion on an attraction can be so varied depending on what your ride was like. So I'd love to see it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.